G'day guys, in today's episode we're gonna install a front spoiler. I tried to find a front spoiler for the Starlet for a long time, but I couldn't really find anything except from the Glanza one, which requires a Glanza bar as well. So it wouldn't fit that anyway, except also being very pricey. And also I wanted something a little bit more unique. So the only other option was the local one. So there's a little kit that comes with the Starlet in Australia. It's very hard to find, but also didn't like the shape as well. It's a bit, I don't know, I just don't like the shape. So I had to find something else. And what I got is exactly this one. So obviously I got it from AliExpress. Thanks Mr. Selata N Karaba. I think you can just call it N if you're his friend. Anyway, so this one just came through the post and it's in two pieces basically. Now I don't know why but the guy also sent me, I don't know, some pieces of wood. I don't understand why. I thought it's to keep it in shape, but it's literally too small to do that. So it literally adds weight. I don't even know why. So let me know in the comments why you think he left this chunk of woods in my package. Anyway, yeah, the theory that I had was that he gave me some ramps to put the spoiler on. Yeah, that's the only theory that I got. Probably not the best, but anyway, thanks N for the extra wood here. I guess I can sell it for like 3,000 bucks in this period. Anyway, back to the spoiler. As I mentioned, I got this one on AliExpress. It was about 30 bucks and 70 bucks for shipping. So yeah, as usual for those things, shipping is much more expensive than the stuff itself. I should have probably got two so I could play a little bit, but yeah, well, I just got one. Hopefully it goes well. So it's in two pieces. It will just fold here in the middle, but it requires a bit of work. As you might probably infer from the title, this is not a Toyota spoiler. This is actually a spoiler for a Renault Laguna. Now this model for Renault Laguna is not imported in Australia, so I had to get it from overseas. I couldn't really get the original part. So this one is the bottom. Like the shape itself is quite nice. So once we finish with this, probably gonna look so OEM plus. But as you can see, the shape itself is quite nice, so it should fit nicely. It's just too long on this side, obviously, because this Starlet being a very small car, has a very short bumper. We'll have to adjust it here. Did a bit of research on the forums and look like this spoiler for this particular car will fit nicely without too many modifications. And I thought, maybe I can actually fit any sort of spoiler. So, but no. So for example, I got one for an Holden Marina on eBay, a local one. So I thought this one would fit nicely, but no, it does not. Like the shape is completely different and require a lot of modification. Besides, they sent me a broken one as well. So, and the shape, it doesn't really, it's not really nice, let's say, just a strap of rubber sort of. So I wasn't really happy with this one, so I had to find something else, and this one I think it will work. First off, you will need a bit of a sand. So as you can see here on the surface, it's a bit porous, it's got some sort of a texture, which I don't really like. So first of all, I'll have to sand it. Also here needs to be refined here as well. As you can see, the molding process here isn't really perfect. So there's a lot of extra material that here on the edges, particularly on this side. We're not gonna see this one, but on the edges. So I wanna trim that one off. So it looks nice and clean. And once that's done, we'll have to prime it and paint it because I want it in red as well. I think it will look nice and OEM. Put it on and then measure it precisely on the edges so I can know where to cut it, so it sort of sits flush here, and that should be. So it's a bit of work, but all in all it's nothing difficult, particularly assuming the shape of the bumper will fit. I'm going to start with 120 grit, so hopefully it gets rid of this one. Also I'm going to do dry sand just to maximize the sanding. Okay, scrap that. It's taking ages just to do this little piece and it's not even come out properly. So I'm just gonna get some disc for the machine. All right, much better. This part is gonna be a little bit harder. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit by hand. And now I'm just gonna cut the edge a little bit so I can sort of test fit it, and also I don't need to sand this part as well. Right, you can see much better. So obviously we're gonna paint on top of it, so it doesn't really matter if there are little scratches, and then we're gonna also fine sanding it with the other grit. So, but it's looking pretty clean now, the edges. So if you compare to the other one, like the edges are pretty dirty. So as you can see, we got rid of this texture. Again, it's a pretty laborious work. It took me over an hour, pretty much just for this piece, and then I still need to fine sanding it. This shouldn't take too much really, just get rid of these superficial scratches, and then again the primer filler should take care of some of this stuff as well. It took about 3 hours to finish it all, so yeah, this is the most annoying and longer part of the job, I guess. And as you can see, there's sort of shit everywhere. Sanding is never fun. Just recapping what I used today. So 120 for the heavy sanding, 400 for refining, and 1000 for extreme refining. Two things mainly. One, obviously, it needs to be cut from this side. The other thing is this one is too long, so once you put them together, it's much longer than what it should be. I don't think we're gonna be able to remove these gaps. I'm just gonna put a sticker maybe on top of it. And the other thing is, if we cut it too short, then there's gonna be a gap. So we have to be a bit accurate with that one. This one doesn't fit completely flush in here because it's sort of touching the toe point here, so I'll have to chop a little like triangle or something on the top so it actually can go in a little bit further, so we can match perfectly the shape of the bumper here. The plan is to put some double-sided tape, put it in place, just making sure it fits nicely, and then once we find the right position, I'm gonna make 2 holes to fit those little screws. Alright, the bumper is out, so if you're wondering how to remove it on your Starlet, it's very easy. So there's 6 bolts on the bottom there, 2 here on the top, there's 2 here just under the grill here, and then the only tricky one is really this one on the side, which is hidden under the guard liner here. So you just need to remove one clip, which is here. Just make sure you don't break it, because I did. But anyway, it's not really needed. You're able to remove this one on the bottom. Alright, also just realize those little black things in the front grille are actually clips, just like this one. And they just come off. So I'm just gonna remove them because I like the look without them better. Just clean it. It looks a bit grey here because it's all dirty. And then, yeah, so just gonna cut this part, cut in the middle, and do the other one. In this way, I should be able to give it exactly the shape of the bumper. Just gonna sand a little bit here at the edge, but we should be sweet. On the other side, I'm just gonna cut right in the middle, so fortunately this line here helps in identifying sort of the middles. Since the two parts have the same length, I'm just gonna stick this one on top of it and cut the same amount, and it should work out sort of be okay in the middle. Again, if it's a middle off, it shouldn't make too much difference. But so first of all, I marked the spoiler where I want the screws to go in, and then I drilled the spoiler. And then after I drilled the spoiler, I put it on top, exactly in the position where I want it, and I marked the spots where I want the screws to go. And then I drilled the bumper as well. So yeah, just gonna do a final test fit, and then just take it off for painting. So this is just how it's gonna look like. It's not 100% perfect, to be precise, And yeah, so the even in the middle is not perfect, so there's just a little tiny bit of gap. But once I paint it red, I'm planning probably to put a sticker on top and maybe a little bit of red tape, like electrical tape. And it should be okay because it's just on the front and the lower side of it. As usually for painting, it will be next weekend, but for the video, it will be just right after this.
2,000 years later.
Alright, so it's finally time to paint this thing. So we're gonna go with the usual 4-stage paint process that I normally do. And that's because we don't want the paint to lift if we get a stone chip or something like that. So as an example, I did it on the front bumper. This side I repainted it, it came out pretty good. And then as you can see, when you get a stone chip like that, it just stays like that. And otherwise you risk that when you get just a chip in the paint, then air or water goes behind, so you get a very big chunk out of it, which is pretty bad. But with this sort of 4-stage priming process, doesn't happen. So we're gonna do the same. It takes just a little bit more, but then again it's very simple. The first stage is pretty much this plastic primer. This makes the rest of the stuff basically stick better on the plastic. Just a couple of layers, normally very light. We let it dry for a few minutes and then we're gonna apply another layer. So the second stage of the process is to apply some primer filler. So it's another type of primer which will stick even more on the plastic thanks to the plastic primer. But this one also, because it's a filler, gets rid of a bit of the imperfections on the plastic. Alright, we're gonna let it dry and then apply another couple of coats. Time to apply the paint. Again, we're gonna go with multiple light coats rather than one heavy. We wanna just avoid droppings and things like that and make sure that the paint is uniform. So another little trick is just making sure that when you spray paint, you press this one fully, because otherwise the paint is not uniform, it's gonna be crap. So no matter what, just do it quickly, but still pressing fully the button. Gets sort of empty, becomes worse, but to stay straight, as you put it down, it sort of fades. The surface is not smooth as it should be, so I'm just going to go with a very light sand. This is a very fine sort of 1000, you can use even finer, and quickly and just very lightly sand it. Do very light coats again until this one sort of disappears. That'll do. Alright, it's finally time to put them on. I need to do it at home. I'm not talking to you, okay? I'm talking to YouTube, okay? It's finally time to put them on. They are dry. And just let me talk, okay? So I have to do it at home because obviously it's dark outside and I don't want to get eaten alive by mosquitoes. So yeah, I need some light. So I'm just gonna do it here. Yeah, so it's pretty much spot on in terms of fitment.